Hello everyone, I'm Tommy from Tommy's Reptiles. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an easy DIY vivarium background. So let's get started. The enclosure I'll be using for this build is the Aguma CP1. The first step to making the naturalistic background is to cover the back glass panel with great stuff, spray foam. This is the pond and stone version, so it's animal safe once it's fully cured. Once the glass panel is covered, then we'll start inserting pieces of cork bark into the spray foam. The cork bark is what really helps give this background a very naturalistic look. You can get away without using cork bark on your background, but I always use at least a few pieces because I really like the way it looks. And like I said, it makes it look very naturalistic. Let's insert this last little ledge and then get to the next step. For the next step, we're going to put the enclosure on its backside. The spray foam is completely cured, so we're going to use some all-purpose silicone and some saran wrap to completely cover the dried spray foam with the silicone. The goal here is to make sure that the silicone is literally covering every single section of the dried spray foam. The more the background is covered, the better the background will look. So since I didn't have any rubber gloves, once again, using the saran wrap, and I'm really pushing that silicone down into the nooks and crannies and spreading it all around. And it's okay if you're a little messy and you get some silicone on the cork bark and on the tank. No big deal, you can remove it later. The next step is to take some Zoo Med Eco Earth cocoa fiber and then completely cover the silicone with the cocoa fiber. Once the cocoa fiber is completely covering the spray foam background, you want to press it down with your hand and then leave it to dry at least overnight. It's the next day. Let's stand this enclosure back upright. Next up, let's remove some of that loose cocoa fiber. Sometimes I'll just brush a little off with my hands, or I'll take the entire enclosure and just shake it up and down until it all falls off. Then I clean out all that excess cocoa fiber. Let's turn on the light and keep working. I'll be adding some frog moss to the background to really help tie in that naturalistic look with some nice green coloration. When I add frog moss to the backgrounds, I kind of just wedge it into little cracks and nooks and crannies so it'll stay there for a long period of time. Most of the time it never falls, it stays, and it thrives. I also don't follow any pattern. I do it randomly and sporadically so it looks like Mother Nature. I'm also going to add some sphagnum moss to the background. Just a few pieces to break things up and add another color. Now it's time to add the substrate. Also, again, using cocoa fiber. Now let's add some hardscape. We're going to start off with a stone, cover it with a little bit of cocoa fiber, and then we'll go ahead and add some cork bark. The cork bark will tie in with the background and also give the inhabitants places to hide, climb, and get enrichment. Now I'm going to add a little frog moss onto the hardscape just for a little accent. And of course, we also have to add some leaf litter. Nothing looks more natural on the ground than a bunch of leaves. Then I'm going to add some more sphagnum moss on the floor of the vivarium. This stuff is amazing at holding moisture and keeping the humidity levels up. While I'm at it, I might as well use the rest of the frog moss because I only have a couple pieces left. Now let's add my juvenile box turtle to the vivarium. He's not going to be the inhabitant of this enclosure, but we have to have him test it out. I always say if your animal will eat in the enclosure, you at least did something right. And it looks like he's going to go for it. Come on, come on. I'm going to let this little turtle enjoy this meal in this vivarium. Then I'll put him back outside into his enclosure. All right, back to the build. One of the last steps is to insert the sliding glass doors. And here's the final product of the naturalistic looking DIY vivarium background. Now, one question for you guys. What type of reptile or amphibian do you think would go good in this enclosure? I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching Tommy's Reptiles.